monumental. So Proverbs is 11:5. Proverbs chapter 11, verse number 5. We will begin there tonight. Proverbs chapter 11, verse number 5. Okay, anybody? I hope you did the memory verse for verse 4. Riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. Delivers from death. And he's not talking about righteousness delivers you from dying on this earth. The death he's talking about is the one death, that second death, when you die and end up in a lake of fire. The righteous are perfect. The righteousness of the perfect shall direct his path, but the wicked shall fall by his own wickedness. You don't have to help them. They will fall right by themselves. The righteousness of the perfect directs his ways. Verse 6, the righteousness of the upright shall deliver them, but transgressors shall be taken in their own naughtiness. This version said their own lust. Righteousness, it delivers you. No matter what you say, no matter what anybody says about you, your righteousness will deliver you. When you stand before the Lord, there's no condemnation. And by the way, who is the real judge that you're afraid of? Jesus himself. It's the only one you're afraid of. It's the only one you're really going to be afraid of. Perfect love casts out all fear, and you're going to love him with all your heart. But that's the one you need to fear, nobody else. They can take everything from you. They can't take your salvation. They can take your life. Oh, what's that? I was going to die anyway. After this, the judgment, when nobody loves to think about. People spend millions of dollars trying not to die and leave this body. How much do they spend trying to realize, hey, the judgment afterwards? Spend some time on that. Everybody's got to die. But we're going to try to prevent that. That's my profession. Have you ever thought about, you got a judgment to come. Have you spent time on that one? You need to save them from that one. That's a bad one. No. Righteousness, the upright shall deliver them. Verse 7, when a wicked man dieth, his expectation shall perish. But, it says, and the hope of the unjust men, it perisheth. The righteous are delivered out of the trouble, and the wicked cometh in his stead. The righteous are delivered from trouble, and it comes upon the wicked instead. Yeah, God takes care. Righteous people get delivered. They always get delivered, and it comes upon the others. It's the one where you're trying to avoid the trouble, and you try to avoid it, and you end up, you go right in the middle of it. You didn't realize it. That's where the wicked end up, because you can't help it. Verse number 9, a hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbor, but through knowledge shall the just be delivered. The man who's with his mouth, he'll destroy his neighbor. Now, what does it mean? You know what a hypocrite is, don't you? They're sincere in their words and their mannerisms. They don't care about their neighbor. They love you, they promise, and yet they're a hypocrite. And it destroys your neighbor. No, but through knowledge shall the just be delivered. The righteous, in their relationship with God, their justness comes through their knowledge. But a hypocrite, no, he destroys them. When it goeth well with the righteous, the city rejoiceth. When the wicked perish, there is a shout. That's kind of, it says in this version, jubilation. When it goeth well with the righteous. Do you know God gives you favor with all the people? Even the ungodly people love you. Now, that one is the man whom all men speak well of. But righteous people, Constantine said, we need to have Christian people in charge of it. Why? Because they're the most trustworthy people there is. You'll hire people like that. You'll find people like that. Why don't Christians have more? Because people ain't living right. We just had a national change in the United Methodist Church because of what? Sin. Sin was brought up, and the churches, many of them split. They left the denomination because of sin. It was there before that, brothers and sisters, and nobody said nothing. It's been there. Every few years there was voting on it, remember? And it get voted down.
It's in a lot of our churches now. As far as Baptist wise, but it's not condoned. But you got a lot of people in choirs and a lot of churches speak out. Nobody says nothing against it.
Why?
Because of this right here, the hypocrites.
Because they don't want to say something because they may not come back.
Yeah.
And not just them, but the people that love them might not come back. And what's your answer? What did Jesus say? Hey, when they walked away from him, that's good. You want to go too? Go ahead. Anybody else want to leave? They're at the door. I'm not here to pacify you. I'm here to tell you the truth. I died for your sins. Here's the truth. You want to give them and I promise you, it will go home with them. It'll follow them. But this is why. This is why we got a nation divided, because we got a churches divided. Our nation mimics, it's a reflection of our churches. People are divided, so is our churches. We don't get along. We can't get along. I listened to a pastor, I was sent something, I forget who the preacher was. They sent it to me, and it was the Church of God, their overseer. And he made a profound statement, and he said, it's got to be about the truth. And I could almost hear in his voice, he was really concerned about the Church of God. And he says, no, we have never condoned it. We've always do this, and we're going to stay this course. It's almost like you can tell he's got some reservations about, I'm hoping people will hold on. He knows he's got to tell people we need this message out there. And I commend him because he stood up for the truth. He said, no, this is a sin. And we got to hold together and say, this is what's right, what the book says. We cannot go away from Scripture. It was just refreshing to see somebody actually believes that. He said, no. And he said, I don't care how much your music is. I don't care how much you got here. This is number one. This has to be followed. That was just a profound statement. I was really impressed. Thank God for it. But the wicked, no, people rejoice when they perish. The righteous, people love. Verse 11, by the blessing of the upright, the city is exalted, but it is overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. Yeah, the blessing of a city is exalted when you got godly people in charge. Godly people are fair. Godly people do what's right. Godly people have somebody guiding them. But now the other ones, no. They're overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. The wicked are going to tell you what you want to hear, what you'd like to hear. By the way, that's what churches do. They tell you what you want to hear, and the people don't know any better. So how do you fix that? Well, you have to say, look, this is a wrong thing to do. Churches, if your music is what draws your people, if you've got a fear that your people are going to leave because you're cutting out certain music, then guess what? You need to cut it out because they're staying for that. And you need to get them saved. Because, people choose churches based upon what I can get out of it. Let me say that again. People choose churches because of what is it going to give for me? What do I get out of it? How am I going to benefit? Is it going to be good for my family? As opposed to saying, we're going to hear the word of God there. Is there true worship? Are they going to come together because, I got saved. Somebody else believes just like I do. That's the most important thing. I got born again. Yeah. No, brother. That's the blessing of the upright in the city is exalted. 12. He that is void of wisdom despises his neighbor, but a man of understanding holdeth his peace. Now, let me tell you what he means by this. The person is devoid of wisdom, despises his neighbor, tells him off. Maybe the neighbor done you wrong. But the man of God, but a righteous person knows there's a time to speak and there's a time to hold your peace. It ain't worth it, ain't time. A wicked man's going to tell the other one off. A man of understanding holds his peace. The man devoid of wisdom despises his neighbor. I don't respect you anymore. What you've done, I don't care what, and they do like that. Man, how many people hear that? Man ain't even saved. We were talking about some ungodly men today. And I can remember my Uncle Bookham telling me that time, he said, son, he said, I'll tell you when somebody got saved, that was Bill Brooks. My Uncle Bill was a 6 foot something. He was a tall, hard, strong as an ox, fight. If you ever knew Brother Bill, he followed Preacher Montana all the time. Bill was that kind of man, could fight like no man could fight. He got saved, and everybody would tell you, suddenly he was changed. I never knew him like that. He was the most gentle Christian, just humble. And God can save them people. But you got to know when it's time to fight the battle, to tell them about the Lord. See, it says here, clearly, a man of understanding holds his peace. This is not the time to tell. You don't need to. You're just doing this because you want to get it off your chest. That's what's best for the other person. You ever see that? Sometimes you want to tell people off, and really it's like, nah, that's not the time to say this. That's not going to make any difference. I'm trying to think of the situation and not just me. And it's hard sometimes. These are just good proverbs, and it makes sense. 13, a talebearer revealeth secrets, but he that has faithful spirit concealeth the matter. Ain't got to tell it. No. Oh, no. I'll go to my grave with this here. Well, if you know that, how come you didn't tell nobody? Don't tell nobody. Why not? It's the truth. Just because it's true, you don't tell it. So people think gossip's always a lie. No, gossip's the truth. You tell it to people, and you destroy people. You tell things you don't need to tell. Maybe y'all haven't been. Now, I've been around a long time. Not as long as some of you, but I've had the privilege of being in lots and lots and lots of churches. Y'all pray for brother so-and-so. You know, his wife left him last week. Called a man out and around. Oh, no, you didn't say that. You don't say, well, that's the truth. You don't say that. Don't tell, when you go around telling everybody, no, you don't say that. A talebearer, but look how it says in 13, a man of a faithful spirit, he conceals the matter. Everybody need to know this here. We often say this here. Hey, sins that are public, you confess in public. Everybody knows it. But it's in secret. Look, find somebody you need to talk to. Get somebody you trust. They ain't going to be telling everybody. What do you think when God said if you got a matter against somebody else, go to them by yourself? You know why? Because it's concealed. You don't want everybody to know that thing. Well, he was wrong. You don't want everybody to know it. That's your brother. That's your sister. That's why he says, go to them by yourself. Conceal the matter. And if you're going to have witnesses, you better get somebody that's faithful to go with you. Don't you tell everything. A faithful person conceals the matter. You don't want to hurt everybody. You don't want to hurt people. That's why he says a talebearer reveals secrets. You know, the Bible often speaks of busybodies and other men's matters. Well, it's the truth. Well, you don't need to be that has nothing to do with you. Leave it alone. That family's having trouble. Be supportive. You know, you ever had trouble in your life and your brother, lady having trouble and sister calls you up? Sister, heard things kind of rough on you. Just want to let you know, hey, if you need anybody, give me a call. Just want to tell you we love you. Click. That's it. Brother, hey, I heard things were kind of rough, but hey, if you need me, you know my number. Give me a call, okay? And that's it. I don't need to know. Brother, right back there. And I came to this church the second time I was here. And I said what I said tonight. Any unspoken request? And I remember when Brother Wendell told me what he said. Can we do that? Because you don't need to know everything. That's where I got it from. Brother Wendell, remember you told me that? The first guy was like, yeah, man, we don't need to tell everything. All I need to know is you're in trouble. All I need is you're in trouble. Hey, I can pray for you. And you do the same for me. God knows what's going on. That's all you need to know. And we find this, especially in churches. People love to take something and run with it. Well, I heard so-and-so. That's why it happened to him. I heard so-and-so. Do you know the truth? No. But I heard this. Be careful. Because it just destroys people when they find out.
I think a lot of people, though, when they do stuff like that, like you said, remember this brother's wife, they don't mean anything malicious behind it, but it's just they're ignorant of the fact that, hey, you're spreading gossip.
But they're also, they're doing it because I got a chance to say something nobody else knows about. Yeah. It's like it's snowing and nobody else knows. I'm the first one to know it. It's that it becomes selfish. And that's what he meant. That's what the Lord tells busybodies. It's about if I talebearer is a person, I know it before you know it. And it's something in man that loves that, to be the first to know it. And they don't think, and a lot of times they just say that, and like, you know that. I'd be like, brother, we got baby. No. No, you're like, no, you got to walk away from it. No, you got to walk away. I mean, you think about people hurt like that. It's like, you don't say things like that. No. Well, you can't lie. Everybody knows it then. The point I'm making is that, but that's what he means by this. A faithful spirit conceals the matter. Where no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. When you got a city, you ain't got no counselors. But when you got some good counselors, man, the city, you're good. You need people, you need advisors. Everybody needs advisors. Have you ever had things that happen with you? Say, well, I'm glad so that sister so-and-so. I hadn't thought of it like that. That's counseling, right? When somebody can see it from it. In other words, you're standing, you see it like this here. The other person says, have you looked at it from this angle? I hadn't thought about it like that. It's like we're talking about, you see one side, but you didn't see the other side of it. And I didn't think about it like that. People that got good counsels, the city does well. You need advisors. That's what he means. The multitude of the counsel, there is safety. You got good people that'll tell you the truth. Remember, what was David's trusted advisor?
Starts with an A.
Very good. Now you done your part. You done your part. We'll get the rest of it. Remember, he was so good, but he went home and he set his house in order and hung himself. And when he spoke to like the King James says, the oracles of God. Bathsheba's grandfather. It's a hard one. Ahithophel. Yeah. It's a hard one. Okay, that's our trivia for tonight. Okay, Ahithophel. A trusted advisor. And by the way, guess what? He gave good counsel. He actually told the truth. Remember, David and the other guy told him, and they said this, and it was wrong. But the other one was like, no. And when it didn't follow his counsel, he hung himself. But he actually gave the right counsel. He was really that smart. This is what happens to a city. Good counselors. By the way, that you saw in election, they said that about President Bush. He wasn't that smart, but he had very good people around him, which is what every president does, which I think Biden's got some good people around him that's helping him. You got people around him helping him. Otherwise, it would all fall to pieces if you don't got good counselors, What was the black lady who was there? Condoleezza Rice was like his right arm, remember? She was very knowledgeable, very trusted advisor. I mean, she was very good. But most presidents have some good advisors around them. You have to have it. All right. 15. He that is a surety for a stranger shall smart for it. He that hateth suretship is sure. Now, I got to read this from another version. Brother Cam, you got verse 15? Read it out loud for us.
We will put some security for a stranger will surely suffer, but whoever refuses to shake hands and pledge is safe.
The man that's going to sign a note and say, I'll sign for you for that debt for you. Oh my, don't do that. But the man that won't do it, he's good. He ain't going to help nobody. What does it say here? He shall smart for it. That means he's going to, what does it say in your Bible, brother? Suffer for it. And the man that hates it is going to what? He's going to be sure, he's going to be steadfast. He'll be all right? Don't sign for somebody else. A stranger, you don't know them. Don't put yourself out for a stranger. You don't know what they're like. Now look at how he says it. Verse number 50, a stranger, somebody you don't know. Well, I'm just trying to help them out. That's the right thing to do. You don't know these people. Don't put up your stuff for them. You're going to suffer for it. But you'll be steadfast if you don't do it. Don't do it. So wait a minute. That doesn't make sense. That's not godliness. Yes, it is. It's in the book. It's right here, isn't it? You don't put up money for somebody you don't know. A stranger. Chapter 6, verse 1. Thank you, sister. Yeah, be careful. Yeah, you don't lend money to strangers and say, especially when you owe money, you can't pay it. That's one of the things, that's one of the things you're like, I hate, but I've always despised it. I hated it. I was a young man, Brother Andre, and I figured this out. I gotten saved, and I started going to church, right? And I was a young Christian, I was 11 years old, and they were getting ready to move the church to the other one. And I found out when they changed it, there are certain men had their name on the note for the new church. They had to put up their houses. I said, do you know people in the church are going to keep coming to this church? Are they going to keep coming? And we were here for a few years, and we brought it up, and I said, we need to get our man name. It just dawned on me, the Lord's like, the people got notes there. We need to pay it. And we paid off the note here. Because you say, do you know it's going to keep going? Take care of people. Be careful about signing money over that you don't have any control over. Now listen between a man and a woman. A gracious woman retains honor, but a ruthless man retains riches. A strong man retains riches. A gracious woman she's got honor. But a man that loves riches, That's what he is. A ruthless man or strong man, he retains riches. A ruthless man, the more money I got more money, I'm a better person. But a gracious woman, she's got honor. Honor. You got friends, you know, when you're in need, that's the most important thing you'll ever have in your life. You don't need money, you don't need other things. I had something happen to me one time and I was in trouble, and boy, somebody was giving me a hard time. It was early in the morning. And there was some three of my dear sisters love the Lord now. And said, well, three black women over there, what's they doing? Dr. Harris, you having some trouble? Brother, they giving you some trouble here? Boy, I mean, they're just all over like, wow. No, we were just talking. It's like, everybody back down like, you know, wow. Nobody, because they love me. And it had nothing to do with the fact, well, I tell you need friends at times. You don't know where you're at, but somebody's in that culture. They were right there. It was a flea market. And I'll never forget that. Well, I tell you just need friends. People that come to your side. People that love you, you know. And a woman like this, she's going to be great. She's got honor. A gracious woman's going to have honor. But a ruthless man, his object is riches. The merciful man doeth good to his own soul, but he that is cruel troubleth his own flesh. A merciful man does good for his soul when he's got mercy on people. However, a person that's cruel means he ain't got mercy. He troubles his own flesh. You know how he troubles his own flesh? Because he's going to be the same problem. That's Galatians 6:1 all over again. You need to be merciful to people, especially when you're in the same predicament. You got the same opportunity. He says, Brother Cam, would you turn the NIV to 6:1 of Galatians? Galatians 6:1 from the NIV. But he says, a man that's merciful, he does good to his own soul. But he's as cruel, he's going to trouble his own flesh. Read it out loud for us, brother. Galatians 6:1. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, read that loud for me, sister.
Brothers, if someone is caught in a sin, you who are spiritual should restore him gently, but watch yourself, or you may also be tempted.
Yeah, do it gently. Because don't be cruel. You could also be tempted. In other words, you could have the same problem. In other words, be kind to people. Man, you ain't perfect either. And that's what he means by this. But a cruel man, no. A cruel man, you're troubling your own flesh. Be merciful. Be merciful to people. The wicked worketh a deceitful work, but to him that soweth the righteous shall be sure reward. Yeah, he who sows right have a sure reward. The wicked man, his work is deceptive because it's all for him. The righteousness, his reward is sure. 19, as righteousness tendeth to life, so he that purposeth evil pursueth it to his own death. Righteousness gives you life. But if you pursue wickedness, it's going to lead to your own death. We all know that we used to see some men that were very wicked. There's always somebody going to be worse than you are. There's somebody, you're going to find it. And when death finds them, you know, they were brought down in the prime of their life. They asked for it. They went down a path of wickedness. That's what happens. One of my friends is like, he was told, don't do it. Listen, he didn't do drugs. He didn't do those things. But he'd go to clubs. Guess what? A fight broke out. He got shot. And he made it back to Laurinburg in time he crashed his car. And thank God somebody saw him and they flew him. He lived through it. But the point is, you're in a place you shouldn't be. Wicked place. Hey, trouble finds people that are wicked. The wicked man here, he works his own deceitful work. Man sows righteousness shall be sure, is a sure reward. Amen. But the mother pursues, verse number 19, he said, pursues his own death. 20, they that are froward, that means that perverse, a froward heart, perverted heart, are an abomination to the Lord, such as are upright in their way as his delight. That's self-explanatory. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. Boy, those that join forces, right? The wicked put themselves together, God's going to judge them. 22, as a jewel of gold is gold in swine's snout, so is a fair woman that was without discretion. Now that's one. So you got it in NIV at verse number 22. Read that one out loud.
like a gold ring in a pig's snout is a beautiful woman who shows no discretion.
Yeah. You're putting goals in a snout. It ain't no good. Your beauty is no benefit to you if you ain't got no discretion. It absolutely is a failure. It has no benefit. It's just like that gold ring in the snout of the nose. It's no benefit. It doesn't help them at all. That it says the gold in the swine's snout. That gold don't do that pig no good. But a woman has got all that beauty. She's so wonderful that guess what? If she ain't got discretion, her beauty has no benefit at all. It's no benefit at all. Does that make sense? No? Clear? Yeah. The desire of the righteous is only good, but the expectation of the wicked is wrath. Be expecting this. The desire of the righteous ain't nothing but good. They want what's right. But what's the expectation of the wicked? Yeah, it's doom, it's gloom, it's wrath. There is that scattereth, and yet increaseth, and there is withholdeth more than is meet, but it tendeth to poverty. So would you read that from NIV, that verse number 24? Yeah.
One man gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, where it comes to poverty.
Scattereth meaning you're giving. And I don't mean like you're wasting your money. The Bible said, moreover, it is, there's a memory verse that just came. Moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. You know what that one is? It seems like Corinthians comes to mind. Moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. Brother Cam, you can find that. Moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. A faithful man will scatter, and what he means by scattering here, yet increases. In other words, he gives out,
4
Corinthians 4:2. Moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. Be faithful. A steward is a person who's over something else, and be faithful about it. But he says the man that scatters means he gives to people, he gives to others. Guess what? He increases. But the man that withholdeth more than is meet, and it wouldn't help, he's going to tend to have poverty. You need to help other people. You need to be giving to others. Scattered abroad. Lord bless you, give to somebody else. You know what? I can't believe. I loaned that shovel out a year ago. He ain't brought it back yet. And he got 3 shovels and he can't use them all at one time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even if he had a job with everybody else, he wouldn't have it. But that's it. There you go. It was mine. Thank you, sister. I forgot. That's exactly what they said, isn't it? But it's mine. And then what he said, no, you withhold from people and you should give to people. That is Luke, is it Luke 6? Give and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure ye meet withal, it shall be measured to you again. I have some old verses, but I'm coming back. Okay, scatters. But if you don't give, it leads to poverty. Verse 25, similar. The liberal soul shall be made fat. He that wardeth shall be watered also himself. The generous soul will be made rich, and he who waters will also be watered himself. A generous soul, a person that gives. Give somebody else that they give to you. Man, it's just a generous soul. These verses, those two there, just talk about giving, being merciful to people. And by the way, have you ever seen somebody say, well, I need to give to so-and-so, he deserves it, you know? Not the need, but that they deserve it. What's wrong with that idea? You haven't really given, have you? What did Christ do? Did Christ give? He gave because we needed it. Had nothing to do with they deserved it, because we sure didn't deserve it. And so when you give because somebody deserves it, it's the opposite of what Christ would tell you to give. You should give because what? Well, there's a need there. We'll never help it. A generous soul. And you'll be watered as well. He that withholdeth corn, the people shall curse him. Blessing shall be upon the head of him that selleth it. Did you notice? It says withhold, when you withhold and you can help people out. May I ask a question? How many of you here are familiar with food banks? Anybody? 1, 2, anybody else? 3, been involved with them? Church have food banks, right? To give. Have you ever noticed when we used to have the big tater trucks come down here and everybody goes down to get it? Cheese. People got plenty of money to go to get it, right? Cupboards filled with, still go get it. If you ain't sharp, somebody be selling it to somebody else too. Is that not the culture? Hmm? Why? It isn't.
We just went rolling this past week.
I can find you some online and I'll get it for you, okay? Yes, ma'am. I'll find you some online.
Give me some next time, okay?
Yeah. He says, but blessing shall be upon the head of him that selleth it. Now, it didn't say gives, he says sells it, doesn't it? You're to sell to people. Does it say in your Bible to sell it? Yeah. Yeah, you sell it. You give God has never been in the idea of just giving to people. He's always been in the idea of letting another man work for it and y'all be equal. That's God's economy. Everybody's the same, right? Everybody's the same. By the way, if you remember, the children of Israel, always the edges for the strangers and the poor people, they go out and harvest it themselves. You didn't just gather the grain and give to the poor. Never. No. You leave it out there, they can go out there and get there themselves, and they'll harvest their own, thresh it their own way. Guess what? But you're all equal. You're not better than them, they're no better than you. That's what's required if you got money. Why don't you bless these other people? Why? They're all the same. I'm supplying for both of them. And one takes care of the other, right? That's the way God has it.
That giving, what we were talking about, like food banks and others, gave me a hard heart. Because like at our school, when we would do angel tree Christmas, then you had those parents were called, well, y'all doing that this year? No, he don't wear nothing but Nikes. You can't, don't give him no shoes.
That hard.
Every year it happened, every year.
Or they get
And then
stuff
it was
and
the-
sell it.
Yeah, well,
So-
the sheriff's taught us how to try to deal with that, but, and then it was the same kids.
So what does that tell you?
Yeah, I was like,
They don't need it.
no, they don't. Oh,
When you grew up and somebody gave you a present at Christmas, you seldom took it back because everybody had needs, right?
it needed.
Yeah. Remember the Lifesavers? I got a pack of 6. That was my present one year at Christmas. It was one of them Christmas that didn't have a lot. Didn't take long for me to eat them things up. But guess what? Nobody took it back. People got plenty now. But that tells you the ungraciousness of where you are. But it's not their fault. They've been taught that. Our society has been taught that, well, you should give to people because of, and I don't know about you, but I get in trouble with it. Why don't you give to people? Because I don't want to. That's not Christian. You a Christian? Say no, because you know what I'm going to do. Well, how do you know what God's like? Would you love to know how he's like? I'd love to tell you what he's like. Now let's talk. And if you say you are a Christian, I'm going to hit you with hard with the book then. You know what? Where'd you get this from? Let's go to the scripture. Would you like to see it? Man ought to work for what he's got. Well, they're just poor. Man's down out there 4 hours. He can stand at a stop sign. You got good legs. Don't tell me you ain't got good legs. And there's help wanted signs everywhere. Beforehand, we didn't have that. Help wanted everywhere. Get a job. People will give to you. I've given to people. You've done the same thing. You see people trying, they're working. You've given money to them, haven't you? You slipped money to them. Yeah, absolutely. You want to help people like that. But you realize the people you keep giving to, they come back. I'm talking to the old deacons in the church. Ever had it when you give this family? What we have to pay that light bill? Same thing every month. You ain't never been there, have you? Oh yeah, I've been there. If we're going to help so-and-so out the next month, pretty soon, 3 months later, 4 months, like paying their light bill. Yep. Brother, y'all paying so-and-so's light bill. What about us, man? We have trouble too. They investigate it and find out. And the own sister, she's playing y'all. She's playing y'all, Dr. Harris. I didn't know that. Start investigating and find out people do that. There are people who really need. So I always tell people, if you got a need in the church, don't bring it to if you want to bring it to the church, great. What did you give? If you didn't give, it ain't the church. What church did you give? If there's a need in the community and you see somebody in need and you go to the church and say, I think the church ought to help so-and-so. What did you give them? Well, I didn't give anything. Why? I thought church would. Was it not important to you? You know the need better than anybody else. How come you didn't give? We give as a church. No. God commands us to give as an individual. That's when it makes the difference. We need to give. We forgot about being gracious. We forgot about giving and sharing. Our forefathers had very little. They didn't have much as we had, but they give. You ever been to a hog killing and you didn't go home with a piece of meat? Share. We did. We always got. People would share more back then. But being gracious? No. He that diligently seeketh good procureth favor. But he that seeketh mischief, it shall come to him. You'll find it. He that trusteth in his riches shall fall. The righteous shall flourish as a branch. Those are self-explanatory. He that troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind. And the fool shall be a servant to the wise of heart. Please, if you got that in NIV, read that 29, would you?
He who brings trouble on his family will inherit only wind, and the fool will be servant to the wise.
Yeah, you're not going to inherit anything, and you're going to be cleaning out the gutters and working for the rich man's what you're going to do. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise. That's the old memory verse. The fruit of the righteous is the tree of life. He that winneth souls is wise. That's pretty self-explanatory. Behold, the righteous shall be recompensed in the earth, much more the wicked and the sinner. Would you read that from the NIV, that verse number 31?
If the righteous receive their due on earth, how much more the ungodly and the sinner?
Are they going to get what's coming to them? A lot of time before you leave this earth, the wicked is going to get what's coming to them. There are some things that you do that has consequences. You know, and sometimes you don't even recognize it. You're doing things and you don't realize it's going to harm you, but I'll give you a good example. How many of you remember the Marlboro Man commercials? How many of you ever looked up how the Marlboro Man were at the end of their lives? Thin, COPD, and on oxygen. A lot of them, that's how they ended up. Because it does cause that later on. By the way, why didn't smoking kill people back beforehand? Yeah. Well, the nicotine was there. You know the real answer? People didn't live long. Guess what? 1928. And what was the average age of a man? 54 years of age. The average age of a man when he died was 54 in 1928. I looked it up. You didn't live long enough to get cancer or have sugar to kill you later on. You didn't live long enough for all these things to happen. You know why we got dialysis centers? Because people live longer with diabetes. They all died early. The more you keep people alive with diabetes, now you get the consequences of it. The longer you live, the more things happen. If you die early, don't know. Well, does so-and-so happen in your family? No, mom and daddy died in a car wreck. Well, they didn't go down enough to see if something happened. There's something in their genes. You don't know. People live long now. You can see a lot more. You can see those things. But the longer you live, things happen. No. Sometimes wickedness comes back to you while you're still on the earth. You reap it. And it's going to happen. You know, you got scars. You know, I remember one of my dear, I won't call his name out. God bless him. And I was listening to his lungs. He wanted to be his doctor. I didn't know you had lung surgery. No, it was unauthorized surgery. And I knew what he meant. If somebody got him in, how'd you live? I lived. I found out later what happened. He said, live like that there. It's a wonder I didn't die. I should have died many a time. And God was good to me, brother. Because you can reap those things. Sometimes that thing happens on the earth. That's what he means by that. Verse chapter 12, whoso loveth instruction, loveth knowledge. But he that hateth reproof is brutish. Man, the people that love instructions, wow, they love knowledge. But the people that hates reproof, don't tell me. I don't want to hear it. That you can't tell them nothing. So do you have chapter 12, verse 1 in NIV? Read that up for me.
Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates correction is stupid.
When I heard that today, I was listening to David Guzik's commentary. And he said it's stupid. I was like, boy, that's pretty blunt. Brutus is in my Bible, but he said stupid. Wow. Yeah, that's stupid. You hate reproof. Somebody trying to help you.
That's what my Bible says.
What? Stupid? Yeah. His reproof is stupid. A good man obtaineth favor of the Lord, but a man of wicked devices he will condemn. A man shall not be established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous shall not be moved. In wickedness, you can't get solidified. You can't have a standing. But in righteousness, you're like the what were those famous trees that had by the water that was so good? In the Bible, there's a famous country that had them.
Trees of
Lebanon was, and what kind of tree? Cedars. Cedars of Lebanon, famous for their stability and their tree. That's why it gives that imagery that, yeah, you'll be sound. You'll be founded. The roots are there. A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband. She that maketh ashamed is rottenness in his bones. Oh my goodness. Read it from the NIV. Read that from the NIV if you would, please.
A wife of noble character is her husband's crown, but a disgraceful wife is like decay in his bones.
Rottenness. Decay in his bone. Decay. See, in that time, the NIV is a lot easier. The King James says rottenness in his bones. I mean, that's a little bit more. Yeah. That's common sense, isn't it? 5, the thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsel of the wicked are deceit. The thoughts of the righteous, now you can believe what they're saying. Take counsel from so-and-so. Don't ask the wicked man. Well, he's just as good as there. No, he's going to tell you wrong. If there's a benefit for him, he's going to tell you what he wants to believe. The words of the wicked are to lie and wait for blood. The mouth of the upright shall deliver them. The wicked are overthrown and are not, but the house of the righteous shall stand. A man shall be commended according to his wisdom, but he that is of perverse heart shall be despised. Finally, he that is despised and hath a servant is better than him that honors himself and liketh bread. You don't think it's okay to be rich? This is the verse for it. Sister, if you would read verse number 9.
Better to be a nobody and yet have a servant than pretend to be somebody and have no food.
Better be a nobody, have a servant, have money. When nobody knows, that's all right, I got money, got plenty to eat, and try to make out you're something you're not, right? That's pretty common sense, but it's good things to know. He that is despised and hath a servant, he's better. They despise him, they don't like him, nobody knows him. He's despised. However, the man that honors himself, he won't go far. There are people that honor themselves, right? They honor themselves. They put on about me. Well, if it wasn't for me, if I hadn't told them what to do, they wouldn't have made it. It's the old story about, when an accident happens and everybody gathers around and some lady, she's trying to help him and the man comes, ma'am, watch out, let me help you. And he gets down there and he says, I know first aid. And he starts doing the first aid. Pretty soon she taps him on the shoulder and says, when you get to the part that you need to call a doctor, I'm here. So sometimes you think you know it all, you don't, and that's what it means. Good. So we'll pick up at Proverbs chapter 12, verse 10. Proverbs 12 and 10. We'll pick up there next week. Okay. All right. These are pretty powerful. I said when I read those were great. Oh, Max, God bless you. I'll interpret that tonight. Yeah, I'll see if I can interpret that. We'll see tomorrow night. Yeah, I forget about it.